Najib Msubuga. Yes, a political analyst and election observer right now in central Uganda. Najib, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
We are great. Thank you so much for joining us. So we want to just get an idea right now. We know that voting opened a few hours ago, as the special advisor to the president told us. The queues seem to be quite long, and she said that turnout is probably the largest that Uganda has seen in a while. What do you think about that? What do you think in terms of turnout? Have Ugandans in the early hours of voting, have they really come out?
Yeah, based on what I've observed right now, I can confirm the Ugandans have really turned out to vote this time around.
What do you think is responsible for bringing out such a large turnout, or a larger turnout at least than previous years? What do you think is bringing Ugandans out?
Yeah, I think what is bringing Ugandans out is the fact that the moderator hinted about. This is not a normal election. This is an election to end a 35-year-old leadership of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. I think that's the biggest factor in this election. The fact that people feel the president has been in power for almost, 4 decades. When he gets this turn, he will be spending 4 decades in power. I think that's what makes the election so tense. And then number two, the campaign has not been as we thought it would be. The publicity that was given to this campaign, the mistreatment of opposition candidates, the death of people within the campaign, I think has given people the zeal to turn out in huge numbers and vote. I think it's a protest vote, probably.
Oh.
So this, even though there was violence, and traditionally when there's violence in the run-up to elections, it actually keeps people at home. So people are still turning out, even though there were the reports of the violence that we've seen in the run-up to the election. So even with the violence, people are out and voting. That's good to hear.
People are out. The queues are very long. You can look at the queues wherever you go. Voting started a bit late for an hour in most of the polling stations in the central region. But at least people are patient, they're waiting to vote.
All right, Najib. We heard that in the Koboko district last week, it received about 190 voting materials for the elections, but 14 boxes had broken seals, and those who showed up to witness the delivery of the materials raised their concerns about the credibility of the polls. But the district electoral commissioner, that's returning officer Mr. Ezale Osuman, he said that the materials were still safe despite the broken seals. Now, the question now is, will the Electoral Commission in Uganda deliver a credible election amid all these issues?
Yeah, we have a bad history. We have a bad history when it comes to the elections in Uganda. I think the last 3 have been contested in courts. And then, however much court confirmed that there were irregularities in the elections, but these irregularities will not call for the cancellation of the election, the entire result of the election. We have tried our level best. The Electoral Commission was given guidelines in the previous petition, but unfortunately, most of these guidelines have not been followed. All the recommendations that were made by the court have not been followed.
Wow.
You understand? So, yes?
No, continue. Go ahead.
I go ahead. So we've had issues with the votes, and until now, majority of the population still believes that the Electoral Commission will not be in position to deliver credible votes. You understand? So I think when people come out and vote, irrespective of whether they trust the commission or not, but the fact that they come out and vote in huge numbers, they have the confidence that the Electoral Commission will not be in position, to switch results based on what they think. But when they don't vote, then it means something else. But there are concerns. So it's about the people to observe and then make sure that whatever they decide is what happens.
All right, so let's talk a bit more about security. Yeah. We have heard that the police spokesperson, Fred Enanga, talk about plans to keep law and order in check during the polls. But we saw recent developments. Bobby Wine's house was apparently raided about 2 days ago. We've seen violence in the run-up to the elections. In terms of securing everyone, not just those on the president's side, but ensuring that there's safety for even those in opposition strongholds on the opposing side, how would you rate the security plan and the security process for this election?
Yeah, our security forces have, in some way or the other, behaved unprofessional, especially when it comes to handling opposition candidates and then opposition politicians. We've had issues where the security forces have almost sided with government against the opposition. But as we speak now today, the security around the polling stations is good. Everyone is confident that they'll cast their vote and then they leave without any disturbances. We believe that if the armed forces behave like they expected, then obviously we shall have the best election and then we shall move out of it peacefully. Because the government is blaming the opposition that the opposition is planning to cause chaos. I think for the previous 2 days, we saw the military, the government brought in a lot of military in the city, in Kampala, but at least in the polling stations, there is no military. People can vote without fear. We have...
Hello, Najib.
Okay, so some technical issues. Hello, Najib?
Yes.
Okay, so you're still with us. Thank you.
Hello? Security is okay.
Okay, so just to follow up on security, because we've seen how journalists who are covering the event have been treated. So let me ask you about that. We had the Inspector General of Police, I think it was yesterday or the day before, saying that the police had even beaten up journalists for their own good in order to keep them from going where they shouldn't go. So in relation to press freedom and the freedom of movement of journalists, as we've gotten to Uganda Decides 2021, what would you say about that and how journalists have been treating who've been covering the elections, the campaigns, and now the polling?
From the start, this interview was supposed to be online via Zoom. And unfortunately, we've not been able to do that Zoom interview because the government switched off the internet across the country. None of us can access internet in the country right now, which brings a lot of doubt in the process. Because the internet helps people to communicate, the internet helps people to know what is happening around the country. So we've seen journalists being beaten, we've seen journalists battered, we've seen journalists taken to coma because of covering the election. In terms of press freedom, I think the press freedom is more rhetorical than reality. You understand? So the journalists have been denied access to the campaigns, the journalists have been beaten, and then it was so unfortunate for the Inspector General of Police to come out and say that they will continue beating journalists. Even as we speak now, we might be here when other journalists are being battered somewhere. So I think in terms of press freedom, however much the government still continues to say that we have freedom of speech and the press, I think in this campaign there has been critical violation of the right of freedom of speech and the press, because why would the Inspector General of Police come out and confirm? Because if they had not confirmed, we would have said that what happened accidentally. But the fact that the Inspector General of Police came out and confirmed that we battered the journalists, because we wanted them to be safe. You cannot beat people because you want them to be safe. You have to establish other measures that can ensure that people are safe, they can do their work without any disturbances. So the fact that they accepted the facts that they battered journalists, they sent some of them to coma. Actually, even when we speak now, some of them are still in coma because they have not recovered from the battering that was put to them by the police. So there has been critical violation of the right to freedom of expression. And then the switching off of the internet, as we speak now, continues to make this election incredible, because we would think that in a modern society where we believe that the internet is a vehicle for communication, why would government go ahead and switch off the internet across the country? I think that also brings out to the fact that there's something that government is trying to hide that we want people to know, because the internet helps us to what is happening across the country within minutes. when people are being battered, when people they're not allowed to vote, we would have known that via the internet. But right now, we cannot understand what is taking place.
Okay. So I think we have one final question for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Najib, you are an observer.
Hello?
Right now in Kampala.
Yeah.
It's about, it's about 10:45 a.m. in the country, local time there. What have you seen
Hello?
this morning? Najib?
Hello? Yes.
Yes. As an observer, what can you tell us you've seen this morning? What have you witnessed at the polls or behind the scenes? What can you tell us this morning from your observations this morning?
Yeah. From my observation right now, the voting is going on well. The voting is going on well. People have turned up in big numbers. We've seen military coming to town yesterday and the other day. But we have not seen those military people at the polling station. At least we have police officers at the polling station. And then number two, some areas have had issues with the biometric machines because you're supposed to use a biometric machine. And some machines have not worked and they expected to work. And then number two, the fact that the turn-up is huge. The machine takes a lot of time, to confirm the identity of a person.
Okay.
So I think some people might end up, feeling so tired and then they lose their patience because someone's standing for 4 hours in the queue. I think it's something that they may not tolerate as a result. Because I've seen people that arrived at the polling station early in the morning at 7, 8, and up to now they've not left the polling station.
Wow. Wow.
So I think that might make some people not feel the urge to be here until the voting is done.
All right.
But in terms of security, everything is okay. People are peaceful. Everything is right.
Okay, Najib, this is just a very quick yes or no answer, and I think it's very important. If President Museveni loses the election, do you believe that he will make sure that there is a smooth and peaceful transition of power? Yes or no?
Museveni is not willing to leave power.
Okay.
That's unfortunate.
And I think that actually means
does
no.
does the opposition stand any chance? Does the opposition stand any chance?
Has been mentioning throughout the campaign. Hello?
Yeah.
Museveni has been mentioning throughout the campaign that he's not willing to give power to those who are competing with him. So I think he's not willing to leave power. That's the challenge. And that's why people are turning up in huge numbers to vote. The protest vote would actually compel Museveni to leave power.
Okay, so Najib, we'll leave it there. We'll have to touch base with you and others in Uganda throughout the day and as well into the weekend as we see developments and some of the results from the voting. Thank you very much for joining us and giving us some insight into how things are looking on the ground right now as Uganda decides 2021 is underway.